My name's Rachel. I'm a 27-year-old graphic designer, and this was supposed to be a simple road trip with my younger brother, Tommy. We were headed to Montana to visit our grandparents. Just us two. Our parents had a last-minute work emergency and bailed. So here we were, me and Tommy, driving through the middle of nowhere, trying to reconnect. I thought this trip would bring us closer, but honestly, it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. Tommy was glued to his phone, and every time I tried to bring up anything real, he'd just nod, not even looking up. We used to be close when we were kids. Family road trips to random places, Dad driving with his old map spread out on his lap, Mom singing along to whatever was on the radio. But that was years ago. I left for college, and Tommy grew up without me around much. It was weird. I wanted to bridge that gap, but how do you even start something like that? We were making good time until we weren't. Somewhere along this endless highway, the gas gauge dipped into the red. Tommy swore he saw a gas station sign 10 miles back, but I didn't remember seeing it. The GPS was no help, kept spinning us around in circles. Frustrated, I pulled over to let it recalibrate, hoping the stupid thing would get it together. Tommy, always the comedian, piped up. "This is exactly how people end up as fodder for true crime podcasts, you know." I shot him a glare, but he just grinned, unfazed. We bickered a bit. Typical sibling stuff. Whose fault was it that we were lost? Should we turn back or keep moving forward? I decided we were going to press on. Tommy just rolled his eyes, muttering something about my stubbornness. It reminded me of Dad. He had this thing about never asking for directions. I guess I inherited that. We drove on, the road narrowing, the sky getting darker. Just as I was about to give in and turn around, we spotted it. Neon lights flickering weakly in the distance. Colson's Carnival, open till dawn. Tommy let out a whoop, like we'd just hit the jackpot. "See? Lucky break," he said, slapping my shoulder. I didn't share his enthusiasm, but what choice did we have? We were running on fumes. We pulled into the dirt lot, gravel crunching under the tires. The place looked like it hadn't seen a crowd in years. The paint on the rides was faded, the signs were cracked, but the lights were on. Tommy, always the adventurous one, insisted we check it out. "Come on, someone in there's got to have gas or at least know where we can find some." I wasn't so sure. There was something off about the place. We stepped out of the car and right away, I noticed an old woman sitting at the ticket booth staring at us. Tommy laughed, said it was probably a mannequin, but I swear I saw her hand twitch as we walked by. The air felt heavy, like the carnival was holding its breath. We wandered deeper in, past empty game stands and rusting rides. I could hear faint music, carnival music, the kind that was supposed to be cheerful, but just felt wrong in the stillness. Tommy wandered off, said something about a booth with prizes. But when I caught up, there was nothing there. Just an empty counter, dust settled thick. Then we found the photo wall, right next to the carousel. I almost didn't look, but something caught my eye. A picture of two people who looked awfully familiar. I stepped closer, and my heart sank. It was our parents, much younger, standing in front of the same carnival sign. The date scribbled at the bottom said 1991, years before I was even born. I felt this cold dread settle in my stomach. Why had they never mentioned this place? Tommy tried to laugh it off, but I could see it in his eyes. He was just as freaked out as I was. "We need to leave," I said. But Tommy shook his head, his jaw set. "Maybe there's more to it, Rach. Maybe it's just some old coincidence." We started arguing, our voices bouncing off the empty midway. I accused him of being reckless, and he shot back that I was always trying to control everything. It stung because it was true. Just then, a voice crackled over the loudspeakers, echoing across the carnival. "Rachel, Tommy, come experience the main attraction." The funhouse door creaked open, a dark hallway stretching out beyond it. My stomach twisted. "No way," I muttered. But Tommy was already walking toward it, curiosity winning over common sense. Inside it was dark, and mirrors lined the walls. Not the kind that made you look funny. No, these were different. Each one showed us, but not us. I saw myself alone, my face twisted in bitterness. I saw Tommy, lost, wandering through an endless carnival. The mirrors started to crack, spiderwebbing across the glass. And through the cracks, I heard my mom's voice. "Leave, Rachel. Get out now." I turned, and Tommy was gone. Panic surged in my chest. "Tommy!" I screamed, my voice echoing. I ran, twisting through the narrow halls, the mirrors reflecting my fear back at me. Finally, I found him, standing still, staring at a mirror. In it, our parents were there, but they weren't happy. They were fighting, yelling, their faces twisted in anger. Tommy just stood there, transfixed. I grabbed his arm, pulling him away. "We have to go," I said, my voice breaking. "I won't let this happen to us." We stumbled out of the funhouse, breathless. The old woman from the ticket booth was standing at the exit, her eyes following us. As we passed, she whispered, "You'll be back. They always come back." I felt a chill run down my spine, but I didn't stop. We ran until we reached the car, and I drove away, the sky lightening as dawn broke. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the carnival was gone. A few miles down the road, we found a gas station. I filled up, my hands still shaking. Tommy was quiet, for once not cracking jokes. When we got home, I confronted our parents about the photo. Mom went pale, her eyes darting to Dad. He just shook his head, changing the subject, but I noticed the old map he clutched, a name circled in red, Coulson's Carnival. I know this isn't over. Whatever happened to them back then, whatever we stumbled into, it's not finished. I don't know how, but I'll find out. I have to. For Tommy. For all of us. Story 2. My name's Max. I'm 32, and I work night shifts as a delivery driver to make ends meet. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps my little girl fed. My daughter Lily, she's 6, and stays with my sister when I'm out late. I know, it's not ideal, but you do what you gotta do. Life's been that way since I lost my wife 3 years ago. The accident flipped everything upside down, forced me into this gig, forced me into nights I never wanted. Lily doesn't know the half of it. She's a bright kid, always drawing, always smiling. She's got this laugh that makes me think, hey, maybe things aren't all bad. And my sister, God bless her, she's my rock. But she's also always up in my face about how I need to get a new job. "You need to be home more," she nags. And she's right. I know she's right. But you gotta eat, right? Tonight was supposed to be an easy run. Last delivery almost done. I was ready to get home, throw myself on the couch, and maybe catch some sleep before Lily woke up. But then the GPS went haywire. It kept rerouting, spinning me in circles until it finally led me to some unfamiliar road. I was too tired to argue with it. Figured I'd trust the tech. That was my first mistake. The road twisted into nowhere, and that's when I saw it. A carnival. Just there, out of nowhere. All dim lights and flickering signs. I'm talking full-on Ferris wheel, bumper cars, everything. I thought it had to be abandoned. Who runs a carnival at 2 in the morning? But then I saw a booth with its light on. Lily had been begging me for weeks to take her to a carnival. I felt that pang of guilt. She deserves more than what I've been able to give. Hell, the last time we went to one was with my wife. A memory I'd rather keep buried because it's too damn painful to dig up. I told myself I'd just ask for directions. Quick in and out. I grabbed my flashlight and my phone. Battery was at 7%. Typical. I stepped out of the truck, and everything felt too quiet. The air was thick, like even the wind didn't want to make a sound. I approached the booth, knocking on the counter. No one answered, but I could hear faint laughter somewhere deeper in the carnival grounds, like an echo. It reminded me of something Lily had talked about once, her imaginary friend. The laughing man, she called him. Kids, right? They come up with the weirdest stuff. I walked further in, past a rusted game stand, and then I saw it, a map of the carnival pinned to a board. Only it wasn't right. There were strange symbols drawn all over it, circles around certain rides, lines crossing out others. I should have left then, but I didn't. One of the rides started on its own, the carousel. The music was warped, like a record player left out in the rain. It twisted my stomach in knots. There was an old photo booth nearby. I don't know why, but I went inside. I pulled the curtain closed and looked at the strip of photos left on the seat. My heart stopped. It was me, Lily, and my wife. But these photos weren't from the past. They were new. Lily looked older. My wife, she looked just like she did the night before the accident. I stumbled out of the booth, my head spinning. I had to leave. Now. But when I turned around, the path I came from was gone. In its place were rows of towering funhouse mirrors, twisting and turning the light into shadows. I could see myself in them, distorted, stretching. And behind me, a figure, laughing. I needed to find a way out. I kept moving forward through the mirrors, trying to find an exit. I heard a voice, my wife's voice. "Max," it whispered, "why did you let me die?" I turned, and there she was, a shadowy figure with her face, her eyes hollow. "You failed us," she said. "You're failing Lily." I snapped. I shouted back, my voice cracking, telling her I was sorry, that I'd do anything to make it right. The figure just laughed, the sound echoing around me. "You'll see her soon," it whispered, before fading into the dark. A path opened up in front of me, leading to a grand carousel, and there, sitting on one of the horses, was Lily. She looked at me and smiled, but her eyes were empty, just like the shadow. I ran to her, the carousel starting to spin faster and faster. The world blurred, the music warped and twisted. I jumped on, grabbing at her, but she slipped through my fingers like smoke. I woke up with a jolt, back in my truck, parked at the edge of the Carnival entrance. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. A new photo. It was me and Lily, sitting on that damn carousel. I don't remember taking it. I don't remember any of it. I drove home, hands shaking on the wheel. When I got there, I went straight to my sister's and picked up Lily. I held her so tight she squirmed. I quit the night shifts the next day. I knew I couldn't keep living like this. I had to be there for her, really be there. A week later, I took Lily to a real carnival. She wanted to ride the carousel. I hesitated, my heart pounding, but I let her. As she went around, her laughter filling the air, I saw something in the distance. A shadowy figure just standing there watching. But this time I didn't run. "You'll never take her from me," I muttered under my breath, gripping a photo of us tightly in my hand.